All right, so I'm out at Pescadero, kind of getting off to a late start. It's about 3 p.m. right now. It was actually raining this morning and then it cleared up. So I decided to get out and paint. I'm thinking of making something of the scene behind me. Definitely gonna be moving some things around. I don't see an obvious composition here, so just gonna play around and see what I come up with. I'll be painting on an 18 by 24 inch panel today, and I've got my usual limited palette of colors. All right, sketching in burnt sienna. And I'm trying to incorporate the features of the scene that I'm most attracted to. There's a hill in the foreground that's got some ice plant on it, sort of green in color. Then there are distant mountains. These mountains in particular are a really rich ultramarine type blue, and these are a little bit lighter in value. And then there are some rocks that come out here, and then the beach. I have not had luck with this sort of composition in the past, but it's always fun to revisit things that you've found challenging. Sometimes I come out to paint something specific, but other times I just come out to play and experiment. And today is one of those days. It's just such a beautiful day out. I have low expectations. The distant waves are sort of horizontal and they become more diagonal as they get closer to the beach. Maybe something like that. All right, so I'm gonna start laying in some of the darks. I'm using a number 8 natural bristle flat, and my color mixture here is ultramarine blue and alizarin crimson. And I wanna make sure that I have high contrast in this area to bring it forward and to stand out from the distant hills. Using the large brush limits my control, but it sort of allows for spontaneous things to happen. I'm not sure if this is going to be a problem. This dark area here is almost dead center in the canvas, but we'll see how it works out. All right, I mixed up a warm green here using cadmium yellow medium, phthalo blue, a bit of ultramarine blue, and alizarin crimson. I'm squinting at the scene to reduce the scene to simple shapes. All right, for these distant mountains, I'm starting with a mixture of ultramarine blue and titanium white. And the reason these mountains are sort of dark is because there's some clouds above them. So I will be painting in some clouds. All right, for these hills, I've got a sort of yellow ochreish color, and I pushed it towards pink. Actually, I added some alizarin crimson to it. All right, I've got a mid-tone rust color for the rocks. And I'm trying to work quickly because the sun is going down. It goes down so quickly this time of year. For the distant water, I'm starting with a gray blue, and I'm just gonna leave some random bits of white water out here. As usual, I'm trying to cover the panel quickly and spontaneously, and then step back and see what I've got to work with. And I do plan to have more contrast in the water in the foreground. I'm just trying to be spontaneous with the paint application in the water in the foreground as well. And also gonna leave some areas of white water, for example, around this rock here. And I think working quickly is the only way to go when painting waves. If you get too careful, they look stiff and unrealistic. All right, I've got a light cerulean mix here for the wet sand, and I outlined it with a dark bluish purple, just because where the wet sand meets the dry sand, there's this sort of dark line, and I just wanted to delineate that first. And then this area right here has reflections of the cliffs. All right, this portion of the cliffs is the same color as the sand. Now that I've got it blocked in, I'm feeling like this piece of land here might be a little bit too low, but I'm gonna keep going and see what happens. As I've said before, I learn more from the paintings that don't work out than I do from the paintings that do work out. So, could be a learning experience. It's sort of hard to film this part of the process. I'm trying to just be very random and spontaneous. And as I've said before, I often feel like I don't mind doing a bad painting, but I don't want to do a boring painting. So I'm just trying to make sure that this painting has energy and spontaneity, and when in doubt, put on some thick paint, put in some color. I think if you have fun painting a painting, it's probably going to be visible in the finished product. They've got a saturated orangish color here for portions of this cliff. And there are actually two cliffs here kind of overlapping. The one in the background has some red in it. There are also some bright greens on this cliff. We've got a purplish gray color here for the clouds that are over these distant mountains, and I've softened up the edge where the clouds meet the mountains, just because that is the way it appears. These clouds are kind of sitting on the mountains. For the blue portion of the sky, I'm starting with titanium white, phthalo blue, and a touch of cadmium yellow lemon. The sky has a sort of blue-green tint to it. I've been painting for just about an hour, and the light has changed dramatically. I'm still using this number 8 natural bristle flat. I think this is the brush I use the most of any brush. Even when I'm painting on a larger surface, I reach for this brush. I can cover the canvas quickly with this brush. It's gonna rain for the rest of the week, so I'm gonna try to use up most of the paint that is on my palette since it's gonna dry up anyway. At this point, I'm just trying to refine the colors and apply thicker paint and add some sky reflections in here. I do want to leave some of the transparent paint from the scrub in. I like the idea of having thick and thin. All right, so here is what I finished up with. This painting took about 2 hours to complete. It was finished on site. I haven't done any touch-ups, although there are some things that I would change. First off, I would change this water line right here. It's just too straight, so I'd probably break it up by putting some additional rocks, possibly out here, maybe a few in here, so that this is just not such a straight line. This distant bit of land here doesn't seem to be set in the water. It seems to be almost hovering. A darker value at the base could kind of set it into the water, and then also possibly some reflection in the water of this color that would also set it into the water. I do think that the dark blue in the distance worked out. Oftentimes we're told to lighten up distant objects, lighten the value and back off the saturation. But in this case, I was seeing quite a bit of saturation and it was a darker value. And I went with that and I think it worked. But overall, I'm not happy with this painting. And the main reason is I just don't think this bit of land here is very interesting. I have tried painting this view before and I've never been able to get it to work in a way that I'm happy with. I do like the colors in the water. There's a lot of variety in the color in this area in particular. And there's a lot of texture to the water, which I really like. So there are some things that I do like, and it was actually a fun experience painting it, so not a total loss. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you'd like to see some extra videos and help support the channel, there's a Patreon link down below. It's a Patreon support that helps keep me making these videos, and it's much appreciated, so check it out. Other than that, stay creative. I'll see you guys in the next video.